Welcome to episode 3 of Latitude's podcast series, focusing on why Americans are now exploring dual citizenship options abroad. On this episode, we have Latitude's managing director, Christopher Willis, joined by returning guest, Will Garner, Latitude's strategic partner and U.S. native, on the Wayne Allyn Root Show. Wayne Allyn Root is the former anchorman and host for Financial News Network, now known as the CNBC, and proud conservative. This podcast will explore why high net worth Americans should obtain a second citizenship to maintain their freedoms and as the ultimate insurance policy for their families. Enjoy.
Will Garner, U.S. immigration attorney. Great to have you on the line. How are you, man?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Wayne. First of all, I want to say I'm a big fan and longtime listener, have all your books. Actually went to law school in Las Vegas. So, not only are you an American hero, you're a Las Vegas hero. So I just want to put that in there first. Yeah,
Thank you, Will.
We do. Yes, sir. We do immigration advisory work, mainly for second residency and citizenship. Our principals have over 100 years collectively of immigration advice experience. And, right now with the COVID situation, it's never been more important to think about this, to consider this, especially with Americans not allowed to travel to so many countries.
Well, when you say consider this, we're talking to Will Garner, a U.S. immigration attorney in Florida. I brought you on because it's a very unique topic. All we ever talk about in the presidential campaign or in any political race is people who are immigrating to America. You and your partner, Chris Willis, are lawyers involved in helping people immigrate out of the United States, right? You're someone who's looking for people who want second residency and citizenship options. You're an American citizen and you want to have dual citizenship in another country. That's your specialty. Those who want to make plans to get out of here, right? That's what you do.
Wayne, I'm a U.S. immigration attorney, so I do help people come to the United States, right? And I'm a very proud American. I love America, right? But our firm helps people that want to go to other countries and have other options, right? And right now it's very popular for Americans that are a little bit worried about their freedoms being taken from them to have a second option. And what I mean freedoms is the freedom to travel.
Yeah.
And
actually,
so
you know what's funny?
That clarifies it.
Will, and we'll introduce Chris in 1 second. I was at dinner with dear friends of mine in Chicago, and my friend Larry told me he's Jewish, and his family is Jewish-German, and I'm Jewish, and my family was Jewish-German right before the war. They came here, and he said, oh my gosh, you can be a German citizen. Germany will absolutely give you a dual citizenship and give Wayne Root a citizenship and residency because your grandparents were of German ancestry. All you have to do is go back and prove that they lived in Germany at that time, and you get to have German citizenship. And he just went and got it. He's an American and German citizen. Do you know about that rule? I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah, I'm not, a disclaimer, I'm not a German attorney or solicitor, but that is available in a lot of countries. Italy's one of them, Ireland's another one. And yeah, that's definitely an option for people.
Okay, all right, so cool. Will, do me a favor. Introduce your partner, Chris Willis, now. Let everyone know who he is, and we'll bring Chris on all the way from London.
Yeah, Christopher is a founding partner of Latitude World. He has over 25 years of experience in the immigration business, and Chris is a Canadian licensed immigration advisor. And to Americans, when you get immigration advice, you go to an attorney. But in Canada, New Zealand, Australia, you have to be a licensed immigration advisor or an attorney. So Chris is a Canadian licensed immigration advisor.
All right, great. Well, Will Garner, thank you very much. And now we'll let Chris take over. Chris Willis, all the way from London. Hey, Chris, Wayne Allyn Root, how are you?
I'm good, Wayne, and thanks again for having us on, and obviously, and to Will as well for the introduction. And
right,
I think one of the points Will was making, I think, is important to know is that we're not talking about Americans renouncing and giving up their American citizenship, but actually complementing what they already have.
And that, by the way, let me ask the stupid question. That's totally legal. There's no reason why an American can't have dual citizenship?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, that's not a problem at all. Because a lot of countries will recognize dual citizenship.
All right. So you've been doing this for over 25 years. Your company's called Latitude World. Latitude World. You're Canadian based, but you do a lot of business in London, and you give Americans options for second residency and citizenship options. And so why are so many Americans suddenly considering this? We're all so conceited, right? We think America is the greatest nation in world history. I say it all the time. And yet a lot of Americans are thinking that they need to have a second option just in case things go bad. And of course, if Biden wins, a lot of Americans on my conservative side are thinking just that. So tell us what the main reasons Americans are thinking about dual citizenship.
Well, one of them is certainly the restriction of travel. That's come into play as a result of COVID. In other countries not wanting to allow Americans into their countries because they don't think the COVID situation's been been managed properly as it relates to the incidences and numbers of infections, etc. So for that reason, they're saying, well, but if I had a second citizenship, then I can travel to Europe, to Canada, wherever it may be. I'll still have to quarantine and follow those local quarantine regulations, but I'll still be able to at least enter the country. And
if it happens to get bad in America, you're saying, if it gets bad in America. You know what the joke is? I just read a story in the Wall Street Journal, Chris, just this morning that America, which never locked down officially, and President Trump kept it very short, COVID is dying here. It's really dying down, and it looks good. So far, so good. Keep your fingers crossed. Looks good. In Europe, it's flared back up again. So they thought they were so much smarter than us, and they thought they'd beaten COVID, and in June they had, and with us, it was flaring back up, but now it's gotten dead in America, and it's flaring back up in Spain and France and England. So actually, there's really no reason to flee America. Europe's the one that has the problem at the moment.
Well, that's just it. I think until, we're blessed with a vaccine, we're going to be in this difficult situation of peaks and troughs and spikes and everything like that. And it's just such a worrying time because there's so much of the unknown. And that's another reason people look at it as an insurance policy, because, the sort of what if scenario is actually right now, right? So we're not speculating, we're living this reality. People have to say, well, look, if I wanted to be able to get to another country, I just can't do it because I didn't plan properly and have this second residency or citizenship. Yeah. And it's, it's not just for the travel side, but, it's also if people are concerned about some civil unrest. I know you were talking about that earlier, some of the protests and the rioting and everything going on. People are saying, look, in my community, is it safe for my family? And do I need to make sure that if things really go bad, I've got somewhere to go? And then, so, when they're looking at that, then they start to look at, well, if I'm going to go to this other country, how did they manage COVID? What's their security like? What are their communications like? Because if I'm going to, live somewhere maybe a bit more remote, am I going to still be able to access the world with good communication, etc.? All
right, so let me get some questions out, Chris, that I personally think. I would never leave America over COVID. I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue why all my friends want to leave, or at least not leave, but have a dual citizenship and have an option if they ever need to run, is because America's becoming or in danger of becoming a socialist nation if Democrats win. So we'd rather go to a country that has much lower taxes and much freer economic system. And all these years I've been talking about this on radio and TV. For 20 years I've been saying the number one freest place in the world with the lowest taxes and the best economy by far and the least regulations is Hong Kong. Now Hong Kong is no longer an option. It's terrible. So it changes, right? It changes from day to day and year to year.
Well, that's just it. And that's the uncertainty that we're facing, right? And as you say, and even you start looking at other parts of the world where they were maybe, doing okay, and then suddenly, things happen. I mean, even before that terrible explosion in Beirut, Lebanon was going through a whole disaster, with the, devaluation of their currency and all the other challenges they were having. So, and then you go back to, you can look at other countries, you can look at South Africa, you can look at, almost take your pick in South America. A lot of those countries are going under some trouble. So everyone's got a push factor saying, why do I want to leave or at least have option B? And, when it's, some of them more popular ones, and it's interesting you talk about tax as well, is I think it's important to understand there's a distinction between residency and citizenship. Because residency, like having a green card in the US, you can stay indefinitely and you have the rights to live, work, and study. But you don't have access to citizenship and to a passport. But there are other programs in Europe and in the Caribbean predominantly where you actually get an immediate application for citizenship. So you become an economic citizen of the country. And
let me jump in.
Of having a passport.
Chris, let me jump in. Would those two countries be? These are two of the countries I hear from my friends. A lot of my buddies like the Cayman Islands. Some of them like the Bahamas. Some like Bermuda, and some like the DR, the Dominican Republic. Are those all options?
Those are residency options, and Cayman is probably. I mean, I lived in Cayman for a couple of years, and it's it's very first world. I mean, I tease my Caribbean friends saying, Cayman's not a true reflection of the Caribbean because of the infrastructure, the healthcare, all the facilities that are there. It's very, very first world.
The company's called Latitude World. Latitude, Lattud, Latitude World, and they are immigration advisors. And their main area of expertise is Americans who want second options, not necessarily leaving America, not renouncing your American citizenship, but staying in America and getting either a citizenship option somewhere else, so you have dual citizenship, or a second residency. Does that about sum up what it is you do?
Yeah, exactly right. And, as we were saying before, some people look at the residence because they actually want to spend, an extensive amount of time in a certain country. But the citizenship just gives them a passport in the back pocket so that if they need it, they've got it. The usual adage, better to have it, not need it, than need it and not have it.
I got it. So what are the most popular options for Americans? I don't know about the rest of the world, but if you're an American, what countries make the most sense for having dual citizenship?
Well, without a doubt, it's the Caribbean. There's 5 countries there that offer it. So you have St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Lucia, Dominica, and Grenada. And many Americans have, vacationed in the Caribbean, or they've been there on a cruise, for example. So there's a familiarity about it.
Not Cayman? You don't get Cayman Islands?
Yeah, well, Cayman doesn't offer citizenship because it's a British overseas territory, so it's not allowed to offer citizenship. So they have a residence program that's very attractive. But purely on the citizenship by investment, it's those 5 countries that I explained. And then, for the residency, Cayman is extremely popular with Americans. Ireland also, with its programs in Portugal and other European countries. And you've also got citizenship options in Malta and Cyprus, and also now in Montenegro in Europe. So if someone's looking for a European passport, because it is a stronger option than, let's say, a Caribbean passport, then they would have to pay more, and these Caribbean programs, the financial start at about $100,000 US. So it's not cost prohibitive to a lot of people who are looking at this. So a single person, when you add in fees and due diligence and passport fees, etc., a single person, you're still south of $150,000 US.
And what if you're a couple? What if you're a man and a wife? How expensive is that?
Yeah, just go up proportionally. So each some countries are priced more attractively for families up to 4. Others have options for families of 6. So we would sit with a client and get a sense of size of their family, their budget, their time scales, and their motivations, and then we can really give them a good customized idea of what their best options would be.
All right, so let me ask a dumb question. Why is someone going to spend $150,000 or $300,000 for a family, say $250,000, $300,000, maybe even $400,000? What are you getting out of this?
Well, we touched on it earlier as an insurance policy. You're getting it so that if you had to get out and with all these travel bans, there's somewhere that you can go. You've got that peace of mind. You also have a lot of Americans who do a sort of 2-for-1, where they can purchase a property in the Caribbean. And by virtue of that purchase, assuming the property is eligible, they use that purchase to qualify for economic citizenship. So, when it's, wintertime up north, you're from Boston, you're from New York, and you said, look, I need to get out of here in February, you can head down to your villa, and kick back on the beach for a few weeks. So you're getting that extra benefit of the citizenship as well. And then it's also the travel abilities that people will look at as well, to make sure that they can travel not only within the Caribbean, but all the visa-free countries that go with that certain passport.
You know what's funny is I have a very wealthy friend, Chris, very wealthy. He's worth in the hundreds of millions, and he's got dual citizenship between the United States and Canada, which is where you're from.
Yeah.
Does that make sense for someone? Is Canada a good option? He seemed to think he lives in Vancouver. It's a very safe place, he told me.
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, the fact that the border is closed and it's been extended now till I think November, the Canada-US border is so fluid, the vast majority of the time. And, for something to be closed for this amount of time is so significant. And, unless you're a citizen, you're not getting into Canada, and so it's unless you're an essential worker or you meet one of the exemptions. So it's had a huge impact. I mean, my mom's in the States. She's dual national as well, Canada, US. So, she was able to come up and go back, and you do all the quarantines and such forth. But you know what? I mean, Canada is always attractive, to Americans. And I'm sure you've heard stories that, there's always spikes in interest immigration to Canada around big events in the U.S. Whether it's a presidential election, whether it's a crisis or whatever, Canada seemed to be extremely popular for Americans for a variety of reasons.
So if your mom, Chris, if your mom or my buddy they both have dual citizenships, they've got Canadian citizenship as well as American, even when Canada closes the border, that means you can get back into Canada, correct?
Absolutely right.
Thank you very much for listening today. If you're interested in more information about second citizenship or residency, send us an email at info@latitudeworld.com or go to our website at www.latitudeworld.com. As well, don't forget to check our pages regularly for news and updates. Latitude, welcome to your world.